calves. If you would line them up in the makeup ring, please, we'll get started. Our judge for the Shorthorn Plus and Shorthorn Show is Miss Jennifer Hudnall. She's a native of Northwest Oklahoma, where she and her family have raised and exhibited Shorthorn cattle for the past 4 generations. Jennifer and her husband Jacob have recently moved to western Oklahoma, where they have started raising Angus, Simmental, and Limousin cattle in addition to the Shorthorns. Jennifer graduated from Oklahoma State University, where she was a member of the 2017 National Champion Livestock Judging Team while pursuing her master's degree in Ag Communications. She was assistant coach for the 2019 National Championship team at OSU. She's currently the livestock judging coach at Northern Oklahoma College, where she was named 2022-2023 Coach of the Year, for the National Junior College Coaches. Ladies and gentlemen, we're glad to have Miss Jennifer Hudnall as your judge for the Shorthorn Show today.
Thank you. I love your jacket. Thank you.
Morgan McKay, we need your entry number 8 to the makeup ring, please, right away. Morgan McKay. I think we're ready to go. I said go ahead and just scratch the McKay. So we need entry number 9, Kelsey Whaley, please. Starting with bulls and Shorthorn Plus here in Broadbent Arena.
Single entry gets us started on the Shorthorn Plus Bull Show. Young lady brings us in October of 2024. And young lady, I think your bull is built really, really nice. Starting from the ground, his foot shape's big, it's square, his heel is really durable. He gets out and goes really flexibly on both ends. And then when you get him stopped and get his head up, I think that guy is really smooth in terms of his design, his shoulder angle, and his length of hip. You know, as we study him back further, maybe against some older bulls, maybe want to see just a bit more muscle there out of the backside of his shoulder. Just see him have a bit more pry in terms of his upper hip. But that's being really, really critical of a bull that I think is built right. I think he's really, really flexible, and he's a nice representation there of an October-born Shorthorn Plus bull.
Thank you, Judge Hudlow. Results of the Shorthorn Plus Senior Bull Calves. Your winner was entry number 9, Kelsey Whaley from Georgetown, Kentucky. Also first in Kentucky owned. We're now ready for Class 18.
Another single entry bull, April born, that's really, really lean and expressive. This bull is showing some masculinity in terms of the shape to his head. I like how neat and tidy he is about his sheath, really even in terms of his descent, and his testicles are still fairly large and square. I like the expressive shape he's got up high. You know, kind of going through a little bit of a growth spurt here. I'd probably like to see him softer and deeper in terms of his flank. I think just maybe soften that guy up through his body and his structure. Just see him be a bit more reliable in terms of his base, but still being very critical of a bull that is 18 months old, got some visual performance, a square set of testicles, a clean sheath, and lots of expressive shape.
Thank you. Results from Shorthorn Plus. Early Spring Yearling Bulls, class number 18. Your winner was entry 15, Addie Mae Williams from Elizabethtown, Kentucky. Also first in Kentucky owned. We're now ready to show for champion Shorthorn Plus bull. On those two bulls back, please.
As we circle around our two division champions, just a pair of bulls in contention for champion and reserve. Young ladies black bull, I like in terms of his basic build. That bull is a softer centered one that's more flexible in terms of his lower joints. He's the bigger footed option that's laid in a bit neater at the point of his shoulder. We talked about individually and comparatively, probably not just the same type of muscularity as the bull behind him. As an individual, I'd like to see this guy read bigger out of the backside of his shoulder and stouter out of his hip, but I like his build, I like his practicality, I like his function. Young lady's older bull would have been an April-born bull, and one that's got some visual performance and expression. We talked about that bull being really lean in terms of his composition and that highlighting his extra shape up high. I think it works against him in this setting. Not only is he just a bit bigger and coarser about his shoulder, but I need to soften this guy up through the center portion of his body, see him go with a bit more flex from hock to ground. So for me, it just becomes a collection of the little things. I like the young lady's black bull. He'll be your champion Shorthorn Plus. Young lady's red and white bull will be reserved. Congratulations.
Congratulations, your grand champion, Shorthorn Plus bull, comes out of class number 11, entry number 9, shown by Kelsey Whaley, Georgetown, Kentucky. And reserve champion, entry number 15, Addie Mae Williams, has a reserve grand champion bull from Elizabethtown, Kentucky. Congratulations. Starting the heifer show for Shorthorn Plus, we have entry 27, junior heifer calf, single entry.
Single entry heifer gets us started on the Shorthorn Plus heifer show. Standing still, I think this one's really neat from the side. Like the shape to her head and her neck and the way it ties really high out of the top side of her shoulder. I think this is a strong top heifer that still reads with internal dimension. She's really big hipped from behind. You know, individually and most likely comparatively, when we get her back out here, probably going to want to redesign that one's hip and hind legs. She's a little bit shorter and rounder in terms of her rump structure. She gets a little wide going away. And at this stage of the game, I know she's not even close to her first birthday yet, but her vulva's just a bit small and just a bit more terminal. I think that's reflected from there forward in terms of her hip and pelvis. But just getting really critical of a nice one to represent class 1 of your Shorthorn Plus division.
Congratulations. Starting our heifer show on Shorthorn Plus, your winner in class 35 was entry 27, shown by Valley Vista Farms, Scottsburg, Indiana.
Another single entry, and young lady does a really nice job of getting this heifer stuck, because when she gets her old head out of the top side of her shoulder, it shows off how elevated she is up front. I like that they've kept this one really fresh and honest in terms of her condition, and even with that, she doesn't forfeit any kind of body or width when you get to the 3/4 view. You know, if I'm going to be critical of this one, she's coming up on her first birthday, and she's getting a bit mature about the shape to her head, but it doesn't reflect with any type of visual performance. I'd probably like to see this one with a bit more grow and go, and if we could do those things in tandem with maybe loosen her up just a bit in the way she goes out of her shoulder, I think she could be really competitive, but still a very nice representation of a November class winner here on your Shorthorn Plus side.
Thank you, Judge Hudlow. Congratulations, your winner in Class 39, winner heifer calves, was entry number 32, shown by Kendallin Portwood from Versailles, Kentucky, also first in Kentucky owned. We're now showing Class 40, senior heifer calves. Division champion will be next after this class.
The young man circles his class-winning October-born heifer. I think that this one's got lots and lots of quality. I like her substance. I like the softness that she has to her heart and her center body. I think that's a deep-flanked heifer that still reads with enough skeletal width. If we're going to be critical of her, she gets just a little rounder off both ends of her skeleton, drops down ever so slightly in her pin set, but still one that gets out, meets her stride, reads with some substance and some durability. Very nice representation of that October class.
Congratulations, class number 40, senior heifer calves. Your winner, entry 33, exhibited by Lane McCall from Eminence, Kentucky, also first in Kentucky owned. We're now showing for division champion. If you'd bring those class winners back, please.
Contrasting pair of class winners in contention for your fall-born division. Young lady's heifer that comes out of Class 1, the younger of the pair, really neat in terms of her look up front. Really tight there about her throat and there in her neck, really long-necked and ties really high out of the top side of her shoulder. That heifer's the fresher of that particular pair, and because of that, reads a bit more genuine and square in terms of her shape up high. We talked about in class, and truthfully, it reflects in both these heifers. Maybe like to see this pair of cattle both come with a bit more performance and visual grow. I'm not one that thinks we've got to have cattle that are real big, but both these heifers have got some maturity in the shape to their skull. I just wish they'd reflect that with a bit more size and scale. I think too, comparative to the female behind her, probably not near as soft or as bold or as flexible, whereas the opposite story unfolds for the heifer out of Class 2. Like this one in terms of her basic build. I like her substance. She looks like a brood cow with regards to her center body and the way that she goes in terms of her flexibility at the surface. You guys probably got a question if that's because she is just a touch rounder there from hooks to pins, if that's why she gets out and goes with more flex and reach. She's maybe not as neat in terms of her look up front, but I'd probably rather have a pasture full of that one's easier doing kind. I think that one's the longer lasting one of the pair, and she'll be your division champion. Young ladies heifer out of Class 1 will be your reserve.
Congratulations, your champion, division champion here in the heifer calves division is entry number 33, shown by Lane McCall, Eminence, Kentucky, also your Kentucky owned champion. Also reserve champion is entry number 32, Kendall Portwood from Versailles, Kentucky, and reserve in Kentucky owned. This is class number 43, senior yearling females in the ring.
Nice single entry to start out our Summerborn division, and standing still, young lady, that heifer's lights out. You've done a really good job of getting her put together really fresh in terms of her hair and her condition. I like how dimensional this heifer is in terms of her center body, and she's got some three-dimensional width up high and matches it down low. Pull this one to motion though, and this judge got to get critical of her build. Her shoulder's a bit straight, knee gets more vertical. From hock to ground, she's got to go with more flexibility just to be able to match the same type of longevity that she reads with standing still. In motion could make her more competitive as we compare her back to some of our other class winners. But man, standing still, you do an awesome job of getting this one stuck. Reads with loads of quality. Just like to see this one a bit more flexible. All things we'll evaluate further as we invite her out for our champion division lineup.
Thank you, ma'am. The results from class number 43, summer yearling females. Your winner is entry number 37, shown by Kelly Hinderlitter from Albion, Illinois. We're now showing late spring yearling females. This is class 44. We will have division after this class.
Another single entry heifer that's got some three-dimensional spread and shape. Study the heifer on top of her skeleton. She's really square out of the backside of her shoulder. She transitions that consistently into a wide pin set and reads with some skeletal width and spread off both ends. For me, comparatively, I guess, to the class winner that we just would have evaluated, she too needs to be changed structurally. It starts at the ground. Feet are getting just a little long. She wants to pull her hock in ever so slightly, just gets a bit more restricted. And in tandem with that, I'd like to freshen that heifer up in terms of her condition, just to see her in terms of her kind of on her best day, just freshen that one up ever so slightly.
Congratulations on class 44 winner, late spring yearling females. Your winner is entry number 12. Shown by Lindy Kaiser from Morning View, Kentucky. She is Kentucky owned. First in Kentucky owned. Now showing for division.
As we circle our class winners around, briefly discuss the similarities and the differences within this pair before selecting a division champion. I'll be honest, both these heifers need to be changed in terms of their build and their skeleton. Neither one are perfect in the way that they go off either ends of their framework, but for me, there is a heifer out here that does bring a lot of quality to the table. She's bold and she's dimensional. She's the fresher heifer of this particular pair, and with that offers a bit more look, balance, and symmetry from the side. And that's the light roan heifer out of Class 1. She'll be your division champion. Young ladies heifer out of Class 2 will be your reserve.
Congratulations, your division champion comes out of Class 43, entry 37, Kelly Hinderleiter from Albion, Illinois. Your reserve comes out of Class 44, entry number 12, exhibited by Lindy Kaiser from Morning View, Kentucky. Congratulations.
Another single entry, young ladies, black and white heifer has got lots of spread up high. Really strong out of the backside of her shoulder, really leveled down her top line. I think you do a really good job of getting this heifer's head up and getting her stuck and presented well. She's big-footed. She's really wide constructed. Some things we'll study further as we invite her back out. And although I'm usually a fan of moderate frame cattle, she's maybe just a touch on the small side for me. Then when we watch that heifer go away, I've got to question if her hip and hind leg are built in with the right type of endurance to be able to consistently stay competitive in a champion lineup, but still a really nice representation. Believe an April-born heifer to be a class winner.
Thank you, ma'am. Congratulations out of Class 47, early spring yearling females. Your winner, entry number 16, sewn by Sawyer Thompson from Greensburg, Kentucky. Also first in Kentucky owned.
Another single entry. Young lady tells me that this heifer will be due to calve just right after her second birthday, and I think that that will suit her extremely well. She's good in terms of her teat size and spacing. It's a really bold, capacious kind of a heifer that still offers plenty of spread and shape up high. You know, some things that probably would have to be managed on this one in terms of her long-term calve use. Maybe just need to relax that one and the angle to her shoulder, tone her back ever so slightly with regards to her condition. I also think a heifer that could go just a bit square from hock to ground, but man, she's three-dimensionally wide. She's got some spread, got some shape, looks to be developing a nice udder already, which will continue to help that one further in gestation. Another nice single entry representation of a February-born plus female.
Congratulations out of Your Shorthorn Plus out of class number 50, junior yearling females. Your winner is entry number 44, Lila Johnson from Springfield, Kentucky. We're now showing for division champion. Now division champion. Grand Drive will follow this. Grand Drive will follow this for Shorthorn Plus females.
We'll talk about some differences in this next pair of heifers. I don't have my mind made up on what I want to do exactly because I think they're really different in terms of their type and kind. Young lady's black and white heifer that would have won the first class in this division is the fresher of the pair, and she complements that by being longer there in the way that her neck ties out of the top side of her shoulder. She's fresher there through the base of her chest. I like this heifer a bit better in terms of the length to her top line and the fact that she's quite a bit fresher back through her pin set. We talked about in class, not only would we like to just change the way that this one utilizes her rear skeleton, specifically the way she sets from hock to her pastern and her rear foot, but I think comparatively too, that heifer gets a bit more terminal about her head shape, just gets a bit more terminal in terms of her muscle pattern comparatively to the heifer out of class 2. Heifer out of class 2 is more maternal. She's bolder through the center portion of her skeleton. She's softer back into her flank. She's the wider skeletoned option of this pair that still reads with more spread from behind. Gotta question how much of that one's is genuine. She's really wide skeleton, but she's also a bit straighter up front. She reads really capacious, but she's also got a bit more on her in terms of condition. And so I think you kind of got to pick your poison. To me, there's one that's a bit more maternal, hits me a bit more functional and useful in terms of her type and kind. And that's the young lady's blue roan heifer out of class 2. Young lady's black and white heifer will be reserved.
Congratulations, you're division champion. You're in the Shorthorn Plus as entry number 44, shown by Lila Johnson from Springfield, Kentucky. The reserve division champion out of class 47 is entry 16, shown by Sawyer Thompson from Greensburg, Kentucky. Congratulations. We're now showing for grand champion Shorthorn Plus female here at the Kentucky State Fair.
Well, congratulations to your division winners on the Shorthorn Plus side, and obviously not just a ton of numbers, but I still think 4 division champions that represent quality. Admittedly, I probably look at them a bit more critically than normal. We've got cattle that we are getting in the barn there at home and getting broke to sell in our sale in October, and so I think when you're used to looking at cattle there at your own place that represent your own genetics, you start to get just a little bit hyper focused on some things that you want to fix in your own operation, and I apologize if any of my comments got a bit too harsh, because I do think all 4 of your division champions are high quality in spite of the fact that there weren't just a tremendous amount of numbers in the Plus Heifer show. Won't go back through and talk each one of our class winners. Instead, I'll describe the female that I'm going to use, because she does strike against some things that I typically try to to avoid. She's maybe not the soundest out here. She needs to be changed in the angle to her shoulder, slope to her knees, a bit more vertical, and her hock is a bit straighter. But I brought a couple students with me from Tonkawa, Oklahoma, and I tell them all the time that just because you see it, just because you recognize the problems, doesn't always mean that that animal in that contest isn't still the best one. And I do think, although there's things I'd like to change about the heifer that wins, I do really think that she is the best one out here in this particular lineup, because comparatively to another heifer that it's against, I think her hip is bigger and square. I think she's packed with more performance, skeletal width, and spread. And I think still with that, she complements it with a really high quality, good look from the side. And that's the young lady's light roan heifer, would have been out of Division III. Congratulations.
Congratulations, your champion female, grand champion female, entry 37, Kelly Hinderleiter from Albany, Illinois. We need Lindy Kaiser in, please. Congratulations.
You can go ahead and pull your heifer out, babe. Right over here. Or right out that gate for me. Congratulations. As our respective second in that division kind of fills the void there, I do think that it was close between a pair of cattle. If the reserve would have had any more punch, any more power, any more performance, I do think that you could have talked this judge into switching it. I do like the heifer out of Division II. She complements our champion quite well. She'll be your reserve. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Out of Division II. Entry number 33, shown by Lane McCall from Eminence, Kentucky, a reserve grand champion female in the Shorthorn Plus. And she'll be grand champion Kentucky owned female. Shorthorns will be next. Hang on to those winners. We're going to do pictures at the end. When we get done with the Shorthorn show, we'll do all the pictures if you don't mind, please. We're starting the Shorthorn show here with the early spring bull. Class number 4 is coming in the ring. May I introduce our judge once again, Miss Jennifer Hudlow from Northwest Oklahoma. She and her family raised and exhibited Shorthorn cattle, and for 4 generations there. Her and her husband, Jacob, are recently moved back to Oklahoma and are raising Angus, Simmental, Limousine cattle, in addition to the Shorthorns. Jennifer graduated from OSU, was on the national 2017 National Livestock Judging Team, and helped coach the National Livestock Judging Team that won in 2019. She is currently the coach at Northern Oklahoma College, and she was named Coach of the Year in 2022 and 2023. Please welcome Miss Jennifer Hudlow, Jennifer Bidwell Hudlow, in case for you guys on streaming that don't recognize. We're glad to have you. Proud to have you on the Green Shavings.
So we start out our Purebred Shorthorn Bull Show, starting with the April calf, and one that I would be pretty excited if we had this one at home in terms of this guy's future. I think he's really, really high quality. He's got some muscle. He's got some width. He's got some skeletal integrity. And with that, still, even at this stage, is good sheath. He's good testicled. And I'd be excited to see what this guy represents on paper, because phenotypically, he's quite nice. To be selected as not only a class winner, but it looks like our first division champion in the Purebred show.
Congratulations. Your winner and division champion out of Early spring bull calves is entry number 3, shown by Valley Vista Farms from Scottsburg, Indiana. We're looking for winter bull calves, class number 10. Entry number 24, Brent Workman. We need you in the makeup ring, please. Brent Workman. You need him here?
Well, there's one more bull class and then him. So,
okay.
We do need him.
Brent Workman, we need your entry 24 to the makeup ring, please. Classes are small, moving quickly.
Good pair of November bulls. We'll go ahead and leave them the way that they joined us in the ring because the bull that leads off, there's just more to him. It starts at the ground. His feet are bigger, his bones are bigger, his skeleton's wider. That's what's facilitated for that guy to drape more genuine muscle shape on top of his wider skeleton. I think even with that, that guy still reads really flexible in terms of his build. You know, coming on a yearling bull, he maybe gets just a little loose there behind his shoulder, but I think it's only because he is so flexible up front. I like that bull a great deal to be selected as your class winner. Nothing to take away from the calf that comes in second because that guy's really lean. I love his front end and the way that he ties really high out of the top side of his shoulder. He's built right there at the ground. I just wish he was bigger at the ground. I wish there was more to him comparative to our class winner in relation to his frame. He needs more center dimension and substance. Wish we could power that guy up at the ground.
Thank you, Judge Hudlow. Results from class number 10, winter bull calves. Your winner, entry number 8, shown by Harper Nichols from Jerseyville, Illinois. Your second place was entry number 9 in that class, shown by Ben and Sharon Wilson from Sharpsburg, Kentucky. That's first in Kentucky owned. Senior bull calves coming in, class 11. Senior bull calves entering the ring, class 11.
Another single entry will be representation of our March division and a bull that I like a great deal. He's really masculine and rugged in terms of his head shape. He's got some shape to his forearm and some spread right in behind his blade. Bull that reads good and square at the surface and flexible in terms of his lower joints. Still a clean sheath, large testicled bull. You know, as we study him back and evaluate him, this calf maybe gets just a little tighter back into his flank. Maybe not near as bold and dimensional in the turn to his lower stifle and inner quarter, but still one that's loaded with quality, going to represent this division quite well as we invite him back out for our champion lineup.
Congratulations, your winner in class number 18, early spring yearling bulls, is entry number 21, shown by Nolan Crow from Tompkinsville, Kentucky, also first in Kentucky owned.
single entry coming on 2-year-old bull, and one that obviously has benefited greatly. He's high performing, really large outline, big in terms of his feature, and he's large testicled. A bull that reads with some skeletal spread and shape up high. Probably wish he matched it with a bit more base width down low. Young lady does a really nice job showing it out of him, but pull him into motion. He wants to come in there at his knee, just close up to the base of his skeleton. He's getting just a little bigger and looser about his sheath, but all little things that a critical evaluator gets told that they've got to point out, because I do think that he still is very high quality, absolutely will add a continued quality to our champion lineup as our champion 2-year-old division. Congratulations.
Thank you, ma'am. Results from Class 22, Senior Yearling Bull. Your winner is entry number 24, shown by Brent Workman from Belmont, Ohio. We're now ready to show for Grand Champion Bull here in the Shorthorn Show at the Kentucky State Fair. This will be for Grand Champion Bull. Well, Judge Hudlow is picking her Grand Champion Bull. We'd like to recognize a couple of her students that showed up to watch and came with her, McKenna Sabaski and Holly Herbal here at the end of the table down to him. Welcome. We're glad to have you here. Hope you follow in your coach's footsteps.
Again, maybe not the numbers in our Purebred Bull show, but definitely some quality. And as a breeder myself, it's fun to be able to come to an open show and evaluate cattle that I wouldn't mind using on my own cows at home. And it becomes interesting to kind of see where some of our stuff shapes up in comparison to what you guys are doing over here. And I think that all 4 of our division champions are nice. For me, I don't make a habit out of being hard to read. My mother always said you'd have to paint my face red to not know what I'm thinking. And I do think there's a bull out here that wins and wins uncontestedly. And then I do think it becomes closer for reserve. But the bull out of Division 2 is awfully nice, and he'll be selected as your champion. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Your Grand Champion Bull comes out of Class 10. Winter Bull calves shown by Harper Nichols, Jerseyville, Illinois. Congratulations. We need entry number 9 in, please. Ben and Sharon Wilson.
I think there's lots of different ways that a guy could go out here with the remaining 4 bulls in contention for reserve. May be controversial using the youngest bull in this lineup, but I do think that he's the next best one. He's the one that give it time, and I'd be willing to use that on our cows, especially if his quality on paper reflects his quality on foot. The guy out of Class or Division 1 will be your reserve champion. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Your reserve Grand Champion Bull comes out of Class 4, entry number 3, shown by Valley Vista Farms, Scottsburg, Indiana. Congratulations. Congratulations. The Kentucky-owned bull is entry number 9, shown by Ben and Sharon Wilson. Sharpsburg, Kentucky, has the Kentucky-owned bull out of class number 10. Congratulations. We're now ready for Shorthorn heifers. Shorthorn heifers will be next.
Well, I told our showman, dang it, I thought our marches looked pretty nice at home. Really a good way to get started on the Purebred show. I like the way this heifer's built. I like her genuineness. You know, she still reads really youthful and immature about the shape to her skull. I like the strength to her jaw, and still reads back really genuinely bold through the center portion of her body, laid in good there at the point of her shoulder, long out of her hip. I think that one's a really, really good place to get started. My expectations are high. I hope they keep coming just like this one.
Thank you, ma'am. Congratulations. Your winner in the early spring heifer calf class 32, was entry 31, shown by Purebred Shorthorns of Paris, Kentucky, first also in Kentucky owned.
The girls and I agree. We like this pair of heifers the way that they joined us here in the ring. For us, the heifer that leads off is just fresher. She's quite a bit more juvenile. She's quite a bit fresher in terms of her condition. Probably neither one of these heifers are built perfectly in terms of the way that they go from their hock down. But I do think that the heifer that we lead off with, even though she is the fresher option, she's more genuinely muscular and stouter than the heifer that comes in second. Add that in with her neater look and her better balance from the side. We like her quite a bit to win because initially this heifer hit me really easy fleshing. She hit me really practical in terms of her center body. She's the bigger footed, bigger boned heifer of that particular pair that's softer in terms of her heart and her forerib. For us, though, we probably question that one and how much she's got on her today at this stage. She's the plainer fronted, thicker necked heifer that's got more on her in terms of her condition. And even with that advantage, don't read that one near as square, genuine going away. Good pair of heifers, like the heifer that leads off.
Congratulations. Results from class number 35, Shorthorn heifers, junior heifer calves. Your winner is entry 37. Shown by Harper Nichols from Jerseyville, Illinois. In second place was entry number 40, shown by Purebred Shorthorns, Paris, Kentucky, and first in Kentucky owned. We're now ready for class 36, junior heifer calves. To the ring, please.
Lots of differences in this next class of 4. Would make a great judging contest class. But for me, the one that starts is the one I'd like to own. She'd be the one that I'd be the most excited to buy, and it starts because her structure's the best. Her shoulder and her knee are the most appropriate, and yet with that, she transitions into a bold and deep forerib, facilitates for enough spread, hind legs the best, and still reads with some skeletal width. Hey, if you're a power guy and you want to beat her and say she's not got enough width, by all means. But to me, the power guy's not sorting today, and I just like her build the most. I think it's just the most appropriate and the most flexible. From there, there's decisions. The really big-hipped, stout, muscular heifer sits in second. No doubt, does she have an advantage from pin to pin? That heifer is wider in terms of her upper hip, and she is way more dimensional from behind the cattle. Up front, I get pretty critical of the way that one's designed. Laid in a little too wide and straight in her shoulder. She pulls in at her knee and wants to search as she goes up front. We could rock that one back and make her more coordinated out of her front shoulder. I definitely think that pair would be worth some discussion. I think when you study them directly from the side, this loud marked heifer that comes in third has done a lot of intriguing things. Really tall at the point of her shoulder, ties in really high from there. I like this one's balance. We've talked about some performance, and she brings forth some visual size and scale. Just wish she matched it with more three-dimensional shape. Of those top 3, I'd like to power that one up in terms of her pin set, maybe 2, relax her out of her hock. Young man's done a really, really good job sticking with this heifer in 4th. I would have already lost my patience a long time ago, but it's good because her build is right. She's got a great deal of future because you've kept this one really fresh and honest in terms of her condition. She just got to figure out this show heifer deal, relax in terms of her disposition, and soften up with regards to her center body to be more competitive amongst that lineup. But a very nice class of heifers there. I like the heifer that leads off a great deal.
Thank you, Judge Hudlow. Results from Class 36 Shorthorn heifers, junior heifer calves. Your winner was entry number 44, shown by Purebred Shorthorns, Paris, Kentucky, also first in Kentucky owned. Second place was entry number 41, shown by Morgan McKay, Holly, Michigan. And third place was entry number 43, shown by Purebred Shorthorns, Paris, Kentucky, second in Kentucky owned. And in fourth place was entry number 42, Cooper Workman from Belmont, Ohio. Congratulations. Division now. We're doing a division.
Lots of differences in this pair of February-born heifers. Truthfully, it sounds kind of cheesy, but it's kind of like you got a show ring show heifer out of Division I, and you got kind of a good brood cow prospect that would have came out of Class 2, in this particular division. And I think there's give and take both ways. You know, the heifer that comes out of Class 1 in this particular division, probably the fresher condition one of that pair, it complements her because she's more extended ahead of her shoulder, and yet still I think that heifer reads bolder through her forerib and more muscular on the top side of her skeleton, whereas the heifer that comes out of Class 2 in this particular division is built really, really good. It starts at the ground. I love her foot shape. I love her flexibility. I love her reach. But in that same token, she's a bit plainer and more generic in her look up front, comparative to the heifer in front of her, probably not near as bold or as opened up in terms of her upper skeleton either. But I think it's a give and a trade. I'd be happy to have them both if it were me. And so I think it just comes down to personal preference. For me, there's a bit more look, a bit more attractiveness, and a bit more freshness built into the heifer that wins Class 1 in this division to be your champion. Class 2 will be your reserve. Congratulations.
Congratulations in division for the heifer calves here in the Shorthorn show. Your winner and champion this division came out of Class 35, entry 37, shown by Harper Nichols from Jerseyville, Illinois. Congratulations. Your reserve champion came out of Class 36, your entry number 44, exhibited by Purebred Shorthorns, Paris, Kentucky. Congratulations. We're now showing winter heifer calves, Class 39, just entered the ring.
Really good pair of heifers that come in next. Differences, no doubt. For me, though, the smoother blending, more maternal heifer is the one that leads off. I just think she's smoother all the way around, more feminine and refined about the shape to her head and neck, ties in better there at the top of her shoulder. Shoulders laid in smoother, hips a bit longer. All those things allow that heifer to be more flexible in motion. Really muscular, stout, dimensional kind of a heifer comes in second. I love this one's expression. Those things have a place. They've got a purpose. Just for me, I wish it was complemented with a bit of a more flexible structural base. Shoulder gets just a bit big, knees a bit straighter. Wish we could lengthen this one up out of her hip. But again, she's got pieces that have value in terms of her muscularity and three-dimensional shape. For this judge, just don't love the way that one's designed structurally.
Results of class number 39, Shorthorn winter heifer calves. Your winner was entry number 48, shown by Harper Nichols, Jerseyville, Illinois. Second place was entry number 47, shown by Brianne Workman from Belmont, Ohio. We're now ready for class 40, senior heifer calves.
Man, I feel like a college kid. Just can't seem to fix things myself without asking for a little bit of help. But I do know that regardless of where we're at, I hope that cattle like the one that wins this particular class stay relevant and stay good, because I like this heifer's freshness comparative to the heifer that falls in second behind her. I prefer the fact that she comes a bit more moderate and sensible in terms of her size. She reflects that with a bit more youthful head shape and more femininity up front. Her structural base is by far and away the best, and still with that, she doesn't fall short for a lack of power. I like those things about that heifer. I think she's really, really good. I think that she wins and does so pretty easily in this lineup. Heifer that comes out next, if we had her by herself, there's so many things we could like. That thing has got some visual performance, some size and scale. She's really extended ahead of her shoulder. Heifer's got some foot and bone built underneath of her and some spread up high. For this judge, maybe pushing it a touch in terms of her size. I think additionally, when you study her comparative to the heifer that wins, need to rock that one back in the angle to her shoulder. A decision comes for us between third and fourth. Ultimately, just think there's more cow and power in the heifer that comes in third. Study them at the base of their skeleton. She's the wider chested one that's bolder in terms of her forerib, spreads with more muscle out of the backside of her shoulder. Of this particular group up top, she probably needs the most work structurally. Her knees a bit more vertical, her hip gets shorter, and her hind leg gets more restricted in motion, and that's why for me the decision became closer. Young lady's heifer in fourth is more flexible. Her hock is better. She gets out and goes with more reach. Her shoulder design, although not as neat and as tidy up through her chest, is more flexible. But I guess I question if she's so much more flexible out of her rear too, because her hip's a bit rounder, comparative to the heifer in third, not as much cow there with regards to substance and spread. Heifer that comes out next, I like standing still. She's deep-bodied. She's got some substance through the mid portion of her skeleton. One that I wanted to read as powerful up high, she doesn't match it down low. Comes in too much at the base of her chest. Watch that heifer go away. She's got the most honor of that top group in terms of condition. A wide skeleton, really heavy muscled stout heifer comes out next. Needs to match that with more bone and feature. Additionally, she needs to be changed and rocked back in the angle to her shoulder, more feminine and refined about the shape to her head. She really needs to be lengthened up out of her hip and out of her rump structure. Moderate framed easy flesh and heifer comes next. Needs to be given a shot more performance and pry. Heifer that rounds out this particular class is really fresh and extended ahead of her shoulder. Just works against her in this setting. She just gets outmassed and outhorsed amongst this particular lineup. A good class of fall-born September and October heifers. A very nice heifer to lead off.
Thank you, Judge Hudlow. Congratulations. Out of Class 40 senior heifer calves, out of 8 head, your winner was entry number 50, Harper Nichols from Jerseyville, Illinois. Second place was entry 52, shown by Lane McCall from Eminence, Kentucky, and first in Kentucky owned. Third place was entry number 54, exhibited by Ben and Sharon Wilson from Sharpsburg, Kentucky, and second in Kentucky owned. Fourth place was entry 49, Kelsey Whaley from Georgetown, Kentucky. Fifth place, number 51, shown by Purebred Shorthorn, Paris, Kentucky. Sixth place was Sidley Portwood from Versailles, Kentucky, entry 53. Seventh was entry 55, Davy Thompson, Campbellsville, Kentucky. And eighth was entry number 10, Sawyer Thompson, Greensburg, Kentucky. We're now showing for division champion on these heifer calves, senior champion. Entry 58, Lila Johnson. Entry 58, Lila Johnson. We need you in the makeup ring, please.
Very nice pair of heifers in contention for your division champion and respective reserve. Lots of similarities upon first inspection between this pair of cattle, but study them further. I think of the pair, there's one that's built in with a bit more length out of her hip. I prefer the set to her hind leg and the way she goes as the cattle leave us. Maybe one, two that you study them, and surprisingly, although she's not maybe as bold out of the back of her shoulder, I think that heifer reads with more width from pin to pin, and that's the heifer out of Class 1 in this particular division. She'll be your champion. Heifer out of Class 2 will be your reserve.
Congratulations, division champion is entry number 48, shown by Harper Nichols, Jerseyville, Illinois. Congratulations, entry 48, division champion. Second and reserve champion comes out of Class 40, entry number 50, shown by Harper Nichols, Jerseyville, Illinois. Congratulations. And Lane McCall will be your Kentucky bred champion. That's entry number 52 out of Class 40. Congratulations from Eminence, Kentucky. Fran McCall on the halter.
Now it's going to work. Everybody, college kids always come to me to fix stuff, and when they bring it, suddenly it works. Yep, it's working. Got a trio of heifers out here in this particular class, actually going to be representing our division champion and respective reserve. Shoulders back. There's more to the heifer that wins this particular pair up top. She's bigger footed, stouter, more dimensional. And 2, we study the pair of heifers, and when you get in behind them, she's bigger from pin to pin. She's wider in terms of her skeletal base. No doubt, probably not bred in with the same type of look or freshness up front as even the heifer that comes in second. But I think you've got to have a big engine, match a big caboose. She's got a really stout hip. She's got a big set of feet and legs. Heifer that is in second, going to be respective reserve, probably fresher in terms of her condition. She's longer in the way that her neck ties out of the top side of her shoulder. With that, she's more fragile at the surface. She's narrower going away. 2, she wants to pull her hock in and yet weirdly bow it just a bit as she goes away. Need to redesign her in that regard. And then the dark red heifer that rounds out this particular class. I like this one's leanness. I like her freshness of condition. She gets out. She's flexible from her hock to the ground. Just comparatively to those that precede her in this lineup, not only does she need to be rocked back and changed in the angle to her shoulder, there just needs to be more to her in order to compete amongst that particular pair.
Thank you, Judge Hudlow. Results from Class 44, late spring yearling females. Your winner is entry number 60, exhibited by Liliana Portwood from Versailles, Kentucky, at first in Kentucky owned. Second was entry number 59, shown by Eli Thompson from Greensburg, Kentucky, second in Kentucky owned. And third was entry number 61, shown by Davey Thompson from Campbellsville, Kentucky. We're now showing Class 47, early spring yearling females. Class 47 is in the ring.
Got a little age difference between this next pair of heifers, but I think to just study them and evaluate them as they are, there's more to the heifer that leads off, which is the dark roan heifer out in front of me in terms of internal dimension. Now, I'll be frank, she's got too much on her in terms of her condition. I jokingly say we've got cows at home that my dad hand feeds, and I tell them all the time they look a little like me when I graduated college. And what I looked like when I graduated college isn't necessarily what I want my cows to look like. And this heifer's a little bit of that representation. She's got too much up there in terms of her chest floor. She's carrying too much waste and condition back in her udder already, and then even up high in her pin set. But even with that, I don't think the heifer in second's built near good enough to be able to get around this heifer. I think this one is bolder and more dimensional and has more to her, even in spite. Even if we melted down that extra condition, there's just more cow there in the heifer that leads off. Because the critic and cynic in me wants to use the heifer in second. I want to use the fresher, the later maturing, the skinnier one that's bigger in terms of her foot and bone, but her shoulder's not good enough, her knee's just too straight. We pull that heifer into motion, although she's maybe not got the same type of collection of condition down in her udder, she's still got quite a bit back in her pin set, and 2, she doesn't have the same type of internal dimension. Lots of difference there. Probably not a right or a wrong answer for me, but I do feel more comfortable starting with the dark red heifer to be your class winner, and then the light red heifer will be your reserve.
Thank you, ma'am. Results of Class 47, early spring yearling females. Your winner was entry number 64, shown by Jordan Hall, Houstonville, Kentucky, first in Kentucky owned. Second place was entry number 65, shown by Gage Workman from Belmont, Ohio. They were also division and reserve division champion. We're now on Class 50, junior yearling females.
Trio of February-born heifers, and the female that leads off for me, it does so pretty handedly. I guess the critic and the cynic and the hater in me will probably always want to redesign her shoulder just a little bit, but from there back, that heifer is just the best. Her hips longer, her hock is more flexible, her rear joints are better, and her bones are bigger than the heifer that comes in second. But where I specifically like that female that wins better is the way that she's designed about her udder. Her teats are more evenly spaced. They're better in terms of their length, and she is better in terms of her development back through her bag. And the young man does tell me she's due to calve by her second birthday. White heifer that comes in next. I love this one's moderation, her skeletal width, and her spread, and her density through the middle portion of her body are all things I really, really like. Question this one, her udder is just a little uneven in the way that it's developing. Her teats are a bit coarse, and then we pull that heifer into motion, gets a bit bigger and coarser at the point of her shoulder. Question if that one's moderation has got her carrying a bit of extra condition comparative to the heifer that wins. And then the light roan heifer that finishes out this particular group, I like better than the one in second in terms of her freshness and her flexibility out of her hip and hind leg. Comparatively, though, the coarser navel heifer probably forfeits the same type of internal dimension and substance as the pair of cattle that precede her.
Thank you, ma'am. The results from Class 50 Shorthorn Junior Yearling Females. Your winner is entry number 70, shown by Lane McCall, Eminence, Kentucky. First also in Kentucky owned. Second place was entry number 69, shown by Richard Gully from Fountain Run, Kentucky. Second in Kentucky owned. And third was entry number 68, shown by Nolan Crow from Tompkinsville, Kentucky. They were also division champions. We're now showing Class 53 senior yearling females.
Pair of heifers out here in contention for your champion senior yearling. Briefly discuss the differences before selecting a champion and respective reserve. Dark red and white heifer is one that I like in terms of the fact she's due to calve by her second birthday. That's got value where I'm from. If cows don't calve by the time they're just about 2, me and my husband really don't have much use for them because grass is usually we don't have much grass. We don't have just a ton of land, and we don't have much time to waste on cows that can't calve by the time they're 24 months old. I like the fact that that heifer is due right there after her second birthday. She's bold. She's really dimensional through the center portion of her body. I like that she's not blessed with hair because she is what she comes to us as. She's a good, solid, functional brood cow. For me, if she was if I owned her, I'd probably question that one's teats and the way they're going to develop as she starts to nurse that calf because they're a bit coarse, they're a bit closer together, but I still think one that's got some functionality, got some real world value, and to me, the fact that she will calve here at 24 months of age, that says something because that means something in this beef industry, especially the way that the beef markets are now. Then we got a show heifer. Right? She's fresh haired. She's put together really nice. That heifer has got a lot of quality in terms of her look from the side. Young lady told me that she's not due to calve till a little bit later. And that happens. My dad's the world's worst about getting show heifers too fat. And we didn't ever get them bred on time, and it hurt us in a lot of different instances. And because of that, I probably get just a bit more critical of it now than I did when I was showing because I understand the severity and the importance of it. Due to calve in the spring, I think even in spite of not being as far along with calf, she still complements it by being bold, opened up, and still gives you a really high quality look. You know, I guess the producer in me kind of meets the show industry person in me, and that those voices kind of argue back and forth and go a couple different ways. Today, I guess the livestock judging coach and the show world coach person kind of has to win out because I do think there's quality in the light roan heifer. But if she were mine, I would have probably had her due to calve by her second birthday. In spite of that, she'll be your division champion. Red and white heifer will be reserve.
Thank you, Judge Hudlow. Results of Class 53, Senior Yearling Females. Your winner, entry number 75, exhibited by Cheyenne Kaiser, Boring Butte, Kentucky. And second was entry number 74, shown by Nolan Crow, Tompkinsville, Kentucky. And first in Kentucky owned. Also division champion and reserve. We're now ready for Class 56, 2-year-old cows, cow-calf class. Get those division champions and reserves on deck, please. We will show for grand champion Shorthorn female after this class.
Just a single entry cow-calf pair. I believe a May cow with a May calf at side, and one that, hey, she's doing her job. She's got a spunky little calf there in the ground that's good balanced, good structured, and still really good about her look up front. Might need a shot of performance, but her performance indicators reflect that of her mother. Her mother's a moderate framed, easy flesh and big footed kind of a heifer that maybe hasn't been blessed with the same type of growth curve or performance as some of the cattle we've seen, but that's okay. There's places in the country that need more moderate framed cattle that are built durable at the ground, and this cow reflects those. You know, she's given everything that she's got to her heifer calf, so comparative to some of our younger heifers that we'll invite back out for our champion lineup, maybe not as bold or as bloomy or as fresh, but still a good representation of the cow-calf division and your purebred show. Congratulations on your division champion.
Congratulations out of Class 53, Senior Yearling Female. 2-year-old cows and with calf. is entry new winner, entry 78, shown by Eli Thompson, Greensburg, Kentucky. We're now ready to show for grand champion female here in the Shorthorn show.
Well, very nice lineup in your open Shorthorn show. Want to take just a little bit of time to thank the Shorthorn Association and the Kentucky Shorthorn Association for having me, the folks here at the Kentucky State Fair that allowed me the opportunity to come and evaluate. And I want to thank you guys along ringside for allowing me the opportunity to do so here on our Shorthorn side, our purebred side, to do so with my students. You know, we get the privilege of traveling all over the country in a 15-passenger van, and we just started back, so we haven't gotten sick of each other just yet. And so it's really enjoyable for me when the kids become sophomore age to get to run up and down the road with them a little bit more individually, where they get the chance to kind of walk through a show and at times get the opportunity to have the microphone in their hand. And so it gives me the chance to kind of teach outside of the judging van and outside of the realms of four farm animals to get to see the scope of it all, because I've been guilty of teaching kids how to judge 4 animals and not teaching kids how to be livestock evaluators. And I think this gives them a really great chance to see the other side of things. So thank you guys for allowing me to have them out here. Thank you guys for the privilege of getting to sort through the open Shorthorn show here at the Kentucky State Fair. I won't go back through and talk each one of our division champions. In spite of maybe not having just a tremendous amount of numbers, I do think each one of these division champions represents the kind of cattle that more align with what we raise, what we have, and what we strive for. And of this grouping, there's probably some that read just a bit more elite in terms of their kind, and then there are still those that are going to be functional and productive brood cows, and that's what's really important. They got to be cows first and show heifers secondary, and there's one out here that does it both. There's several that do both, but there's one that takes it to a level that is extremely high. I think that she's very, very nice, not only here on the state level, but will continue to be competitive amongst her division on national levels as the fall continues. We'll go out, select you your champion, respective reserve, but join me. Looks like it's the biggest crowd we've had today. Join me putting your hands together for the folks that put the show together, make it work, and those exhibiting cattle today.
Congratulations, your grand champion Shorthorn female is entry number 48 out of class 39, exhibited by Harper Nichols, Jerseyville, Illinois. Congratulations. We want to thank Jennifer Hudlow for being our judge today at the Shorthorn and coming out, along with McKenna and Holly. Thank you all for being part of it. Congratulations. Out of the same division. Kentucky champions need to stay, please. Reserve grand champion comes out of class 40, entry number 50, shown by Harper Nichols, Jerseyville, Illinois. Congratulations on your reserve grand champion. Congratulations, you're Kentucky owned. Comes out of the heifer class, Harper Nichols. Excuse me, that's not, who's that? Oh, out of class 32, entry 31 is shown by Purebred Shorthorn. She has the Kentucky-owned champion here in the Shorthorn show. Congratulations. Your reserve Kentucky owned is entry number 44. Entry 44 comes out of class 36, Purebred Shorthorns, Paris, Kentucky. Congratulations. Now we've got groups. Group of 2 females. Harper Nichols, group of 2 females, if you've got those ready.
pretty neat to come out here in our Pin of Two show and have some champions represented. We've got our champion in reserve in the own show, or excuse me, in the open show, and we've got our champion in reserve of the Kentucky Open show. So that's pretty neat. I think there's quality bred in all three of these pair of cattle. Again, all functional cattle that are going to go out and do their job, but I'd look pretty silly if I didn't go ahead and keep my champions together and in that respective order. These ring-tailed dark red heifers over here on my left will be your champion. Other pair of dark red heifers on my right will be your reserve.
Congratulations. In class number 62, group of 2 females, your winner is entry number 87, Harper Nichols, Jerseyville, Illinois. Second was entry 84, Sugarbird from Paris, Kentucky. And third was entry 86, shown by Gage Workman from Belmont, Ohio. On your Super Cow class here, entry 90 wins the class. Harper Nichols from Jerseyville, Illinois. Second was entry number 89, shown by Ben and Sharon Wilson from Sharpsburg, Kentucky. We're now ready for breeder herd.
People didn't want to bring sick bed. Good Lord. We've got a nice trio of groups out here in contention for your champion and reserve. The set over here that's got our champion and reserve heifer and our champion bull is very, very consistent. You know, we take out the light roan heifer that's maybe a bit more out there in terms of her pin set and her look. These cattle represent some consistency in terms of their kind. They're good-footed, they're sound structured, they're still built in and bred in with some internal dimension and spread. Again, the little roan heifers maybe a bit more out there in terms of her pieces and look. We questioned that one just a bit in terms of her structure and maybe just reading a little bit harder doing in her kind. Pin here in the middle has got a trio of heifers that are really, really muscular. We talked about that in their respective classes. They were really big pins, super stout-footed, like how fresh these guys have kept these cattle in terms of their condition, because all the way through, even the bull is really, really honest. And so what you see is what you get. They've got power, they've got muscle, maybe some differences with regards to structure, and I actually think the bull complements the heifer in that regard. I think he's a bit sounder, maybe not near as stout in that particular area. And then we've got this group of cattle over here on the far right. Really a nice set, just lots of variation in terms of kind, which works out great if you're the owner, because if a judge doesn't like one, maybe he's going to like another, or she's going to like another. And I think the pair of red heifers over here on the far right that were champion Kentucky and reserve Kentucky very much complement each other. And then we've got some differences in terms of look, and the white and red heifer really extended, could love to power up, and then a really moderate framed easy flesh and light roan heifer that would have come out of one of our earlier classes that we've seen today. So really nice group. Obviously the group over here on the far side, on the far left, has had their fair share of success today, and they'll continue that by being your champion pen of 4. Group over here on my right will be a reserve. Congratulations to all of you exhibitors.
Congratulations. In your breeder's herd, your winner is in entry number 92, or excuse me, number 93, shown by Harper Nichols, Jerseyville, Illinois. Reserve breeder's herd was entry 92, shown by Purebred Shorthorns, Paris, Kentucky. And third would be Brent Workman from Belmont, Ohio. Again, congratulations to all our Shorthorn exhibitors. Thank you, Jennifer Hudlow, Judge Mackenzie and Hallie. Appreciate having you. And Rusty, appreciate that. So Red Angus starts in 30 minutes. Red Angus starts in 30 minutes.